entrepreneurship, when you think about that, you don't generally think about emergency management. We always think that entrepreneurship being one of those three choices you have, right? You have the ability to either take a salary job where you do something in exchange, choose a profession from a lawyer, doctor, nurse, you could take a carpenter, plumber, or something along the lines, or you can be an entrepreneur. And the idea of an entrepreneur is really, really simple. It's that you've decided that you're going to trade time for future value. You're going to do a whole bunch of work right now. You're not going to receive very much money, if any compensation, for the first 3 to 5 years. And you're simply going to try to build future value in the hope that something big happens down the range. Viral, go pop, say it whatever you will. Within emergency management, though, there's been an ideological barrier to entrepreneurship. And that means that we've had this frame where emergency management belongs to the public sphere, the non-profit world. That's a belief that sits in there, and it basically bars and leaves out the entire corporate sector of society. It's largely grounded in the fear of the profit motive entering disaster and emergency management. And I'll tell you, I've worked with a number of NGOs and not-for-profits, and they have an ingrained profit motive built into their pricing model. I've never seen a not-for-profit be losing money. And especially is when you work with government contracts, they often give you the ability to add, this administrative figure to cover your administrative costs. Well, every NGO I've ever worked with already has those baked into their pricing model. So it's pure, utter profit whenever you give them the ability to add administrative costs or things like that. But NGO builds it in exorbitant salaries in their C-suite, full costs, etc. So why entrepreneurs? Why would you want to be an entrepreneur in the disaster and emergency management space? Let me offer you this. Success is in the niches, right? You can accept a salary to do work that others want, or you can work to do the work that you believe needs to be done, right? So EM is full of generalists. Like a lot of professions out there, you'll see there's just people who call themselves experts in everything. Those who believe they hold expertise to advise across the spectrum of emergency management as consultants or bureaucrats, right? I can provide you excellent advice in preparedness, mitigation, response, recovery, and overall resilience at the organizational, at the community level, and at the individual and family level. That's very much like a healthcare worker saying that they can provide broad advice. They probably can, but it's very shallow. A nurse cannot be a doctor, and a doctor cannot be a nurse. But they are familiar with each other does, but they work exceptionally well in tandem. A niche is carving out an area of the field that excites you, that gets your creative juices flowing. You can speak for hours on something where you want to add value. The key is to frame it, especially within a well-defined sandbox. The intent is that over time, you will create personal expertise in this area. Your name will circulate as a known voice in this area. It'll be the one who knows the most and says the most and publishes the most in a very narrow, defined area. It's just like a PhD student needs to accomplish before they become a candidate or defend their prospectus. Now, when I talk about publishing, a lot of people will think about, it's all about academic articles and scientific articles. I'm an editor of a journal. I absolutely understand the value of scientific articles to the greater community. But if you're looking for reach, if you're looking for exposure, if you're looking for importance, you will find that in well-crafted, intelligent engagement on places like LinkedIn. You will get into a group that has immediate and consistent exposure to all of the experts in your field. You can follow them, you can comment on everything you can do. That is far more persuasive, far more impactful, and is far more valuable to you building a brand and exceptionally future value in emergency management than it ever will by publishing something in a journal. Now, if you're after tenured professorship, if you're after certain jobs like that require publications, well, that's a very specific niche again to go down. But in general, that's not what it is. So you have to pick the niche, differentiate, be the lone one voice. If there's somebody else there in that space that you want to be in, be distinct enough to separate what you do. Don't present yourself as an alternative to Jim or Muhammad, as there are none. You are complementary to that remainder of the field. But when the issues arise in your field, you know the most, you have the most breadth, knowledge, and experience, and here you are. But don't confuse experience with expertise. This happens a great deal. 30 years in a field may be 1 year repeated 30 times. Sure, you're going to see a lot of things, but some people never learn or adapt. So how do you do this? How do you cross that barrier and start this journey? Well, you find a label, create a company, a website, social media accounts. You really have two options. You are the brand, or the field is your brand. Your niche is your brand. Either it's I'm Jeff, Dr. D, or whatever label you want to put forward, or it's your company name. Mine is Preparedness Labs Incorporated. All of my social media is named the same as my company. My company is on LinkedIn. Everything is posted in that genre. And then there's marketing. Social media, LinkedIn, professional blogs. Challenge the paradigm, status quo. Be innovative and disruptive. Have your voice heard. But remember, it only takes one idiotic comment or political and ideological stance that you take to have you summarily blocked, shut down, or otherwise discarded by these incredible people that you want to engage. So, yes, you can get immediate access to absolutely everyone who matters in the field. The key, though, the key for you is to create that intelligent, innovative thing. To say the things that people are talking about and articulate it in a way. For example, I rail regularly on the state of preparedness communication. It's horrible. The population is summarily ignoring the message of have a plan, have a kit, and be informed. That has been the same since the day of the civil defense. Any member of the public who is ever going to listen to that message already has. But we're coming up on Preparedness Week, so what's going to happen? Well, you're going to see the message is going to come out. It's going to be some form of that. They're going to pat each other on the back. They're even going to hand out awards in some places, hand out grants based upon that, and they're going to carry forward. And nobody is verifying the state and the population. They're not doing surveys to see what the preparedness level is. They can't define a preparedness avatar. So I'm in this space. I'm disruptive, I'm innovative, and I'm challenging the paradigm that exists. That message needs to be discarded in whole and start again. But nobody's willing to do that right now, except for a few people who are working at the margins, and you start to see the margins are changing, but it's the sunk cost. It's that I've put so much into this. I've dumped so much into this. I've spent so much time and money on this message. I can't look in the mirror and say I'm wrong, right? It's like sunk costs. It's like I have an item at home that I purchased that I no longer need, but I look at this item and I say, you know what? It cost me $500 to buy this item. I can't get rid of it. I spent so much money on it. That's the sunk cost fallacy. You won't get rid of something that is no longer useful because you spent so much time and effort on it. So entrepreneurship in emergency management, huge opportunity, a lot of incredible people out there. Seek them out on LinkedIn, seek them out on other platforms, ask for their advice, join the communities, reach out, comment, be a presence, and watch it grow. There's one thing you have to be successful: aggressive patience. That is the idea that you're going to post today, tomorrow, and for the next 4 months, and your followers are not going to increase. Your engagement is not going to increase. But you look at that incredible person in the mirror, and you absolutely, unquestionably believe the dedication and the opportunity that's facing you and your ability to engage. You just keep going when there is absolutely no return. It's very much like Simon Sinek says, when you go to the gym, right? I go to the gym today, I work out. I look in the mirror, I see nothing. I work out for a month in the gym, I look in the mirror and I see nothing, because the value is later. The idea with an entrepreneur is we're trading time and effort now for future value. A salaried worker simply trades today's time for today's money, and then it's flushed down the toilet. We, however, as entrepreneurs are saying, okay, I'm probably not going to get any value in a monetary sense out of this enterprise for 3 to 5 years. But I'm going to keep grinding away because I believe it will be acceptable and accepted and joyous and happy, and people will see the message, and I will be known, and I will be the person that they choose to look to in times of disaster. And it's like Gary Vee says in marketing, jab, 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 hook, which means I'm going to give them 3 free things and then I'm going to ask for something. Alex Hormozi will tell you that it's probably where you just keep giving free content and free stuff out and handing it out until somebody comes looking for some help. So hopefully this is helpful to you if you're thinking about entrepreneurship in emergency management or entrepreneurship in general. Reach out.